I'm a podcast with me, Kyle, just an average person with two of my above average friends, Brent and Nick.
Hey.
Oh, I'm above average.
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah, I'm just average. We'll put you two as above average.
No, Kyle, you're above average in our
Oh,
hearts.
thanks.
But just our hearts.
This is a
Literally just
podcast
our
where we
hearts.
talk about-
Everywhere else.
What?
Everywhere else, Kyle, it's just our hearts. You're average. Everywhere else, you're average.
Oh, okay, thanks.
Ouch.
This is a podcast where we talk about whatever we want, and theoretically we're going to interrupt as politely as possible, but we'll see how it goes. Episode 27, let's go. So, Brent and Nick, you guys have been like MIA for a while. What's going on?
Yeah.
So go ahead, Nick.
Let's say, if
Well,
I
if I
may,
may,
we took the
we're out of practice.
the
Let's-
yearly,
if I may.
If I may.
if I may break for hunting camp.
It was hunting season in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, which is where I do all of my hunting. And I was able to go up a little bit early with my work schedule, with my flexibility as well. I was able to work from camp an extra day or two because we do have internet at our camp. When I say camp, it's not like, go pitch a tent and start a campfire. We have a fire, but it's in a fireplace in our cabin.
This cabin is like a barracks, basically.
Oh yeah.
Essentially, I mean, yeah, you got beer, guns, and beds. That's about all we got.
It's a barracks.
But, it works out nicely. But so got up early for before the season, got to hang out a little bit, and the season was a bit strange this year. Typically, you get up there and it's either one weather pattern or it gets consistently colder, as the season tends to normally work. But this year we got up there and it was super cold, probably 3-4 inches, maybe a little less, snow on the ground. And by the end of the season, it was 40 degrees and raining. It was progressively got warmer. And there was a cold snap, of course, coming right after that, just because, again, that's how seasons work. But we were very fortunate, very fortunate starting out with some snow on the ground, which made things nice. Got to hunt all of opening day after that. Brent made his way up. I'll let him discuss his filter-free interpretation of our hunting situation and his experiences. But all in all, it was another successful year. Most of my family gets up to hunting camp at some point during the season, the 2-week period. It was super, with Thanksgiving being super early this year, it was a little bit goofy. So we only had about a week and a half of hunting, ballpark. But usually I get the full 2 weeks and I'm pretty spoiled. But this year was just kind of weird. Like we're recording on November 27th. And the fact that Thanksgiving happened almost a week ago is kind of crazy, but I think that's like the earliest it can possibly be. But just like other states will have hunting season start on like the third weekend or the second weekend, so it always opens on a weekend where everyone can hypothetically the majority of everyone can get out. Michigan doesn't do that because Michigan's weird like that. It basically just says no, November 15th it opens, November 30th it closes. Don't quote me on the 30th. I think it's the 30th. But you have that period of time. I've never made it that far. If after 2 weeks, I'm like, I got to go shower. We have a shower.
Don't shower for 2 weeks.
But when you get with 15 people, it's not much of a shower.
I mean, yeah, it's, you just hope no one's doing dishes because then the water temperature gets all over the place. But all in all, very successful season. Got to see the family, which is the one time a year you really get to see everybody. A few
Hunting
other connections
season?
you make throughout the year.
That's the Nick family get together as hunting season.
Yes, I basically explained it to my coworkers and my boss. This is my Christmas. November 15th is my Christmas day. And then everyone stays there for, usually we have 2 shifts, actually. You have like a week 1 and a week 2 crew, depending on vacation availability. And I'm usually like one of 2 or 3 people who can stay the whole time. So I usually do. But yeah, all in all, a very good season. I did not get a trophy deer, unfortunately. Fortunately, I did get 2 smaller deer. Took a doe and another one. And Yeah, got meat in the freezer. We're gonna turn half
Another
of
one
it
he doesn't want to
into.
admit that the second deer was just like a little spiker buck.
Yeah, no. Well, I was meat hunting. We don't shoot smaller bucks, and I mean I passed up on 3 different small eights, but we try not to shoot small eights because we want big eights. But it was the last day on the last night of me being willing to shoot something, and I was meat hunting, so I took a small spike, and I mean I had let how many spikes go, how many smaller bucks go, but there weren't any does in range, so I took the spike and just said, well, I have a tag for it. It's legal, but yeah, I ended up with the 2 deer. So half of it's going to be breakfast sausage, which is amazing, and then the other half is going to be steaks and stew meat. We're huge fans of throwing some stuff in the crock pot, some potatoes, carrots, onions,
Potatoes.
whatever else you want to throw in there.
Boil them,
with
mash
some
them, stick them
venison.
in a stew.
And it's pretty fantastic. And then the breakfast sausage, number of things you can do with that, but my personal favorite
You eat it for
is when you
breakfast.
make spaghetti. No, you make spaghetti instead of using burger to put in the sauce. Cook up the venison breakfast sausage, and it is so good. But
My uncle made some venison jerky once, or not jerky,
Yeah.
not jerky. Bacon, venison bacon once. It was so good.
it's doable. Yeah,
It's delicious.
I would
I wouldn't
say
claim to know how, but yeah, it's so. All in all, the season was very good. We'll get Brent's take on it in just a second. I guess if there's questions or concerns, I got 2 deer. I spent the better part of 2 weeks up there myself. Only a week and a half of it was actually legal hunting. So yeah, not bad.
there you go. I apologize for my disappearance the last few weeks for fans of the podcast, all one of you, or whatever it is at the point. But I was up in with Nick for a while, literally out of any sort of range of any form of communication, which was excellent to disconnect. And then family down in Wisconsin, so in boondocks in Wisconsin, rural America, that kind of thing.
Boondocks, huh?
The boondocks.
Wisconsin.
The boondocks
Appleton
of
area, Fox
Appleton,
Valley is now
Wisconsin.
boondocks.
It's the boondocks compared to big city Seattle, living the dream
Wow.
up here.
Look at this city slicker
Oh,
talking
yeah.
shit.
Nah, now that I'm metropolitan, it's just that's what it is. Hunting camp, I went up pretty much the day after I flew in, and it was phenomenal. I really loved it. I will say it has messed with my sleep schedule in that I don't know if I've even recovered yet. Because I flew over
Waking
on
up
Pacific
early?
time. The 5:30 time that we'd wake up at hunting camp was 3:30 Pacific time, what I'm used to. So it was more like I just my brain, my body
What's
had
going
no
on?
clue where we were. Not only did we get like less sleep because we'd stay up to decently late hours, but then waking up super early was just like I have no clue. Plus, Nick was smart and slept downstairs on the couch. I was up in the bunk room, in the barracks, living with 14 other people who the only reason I didn't hear him snore was because the fans were on. There were so many fans up there that all you could hear was fans constantly twirling. I guess maybe I was right next to him when I slept, but oh my gosh, it was.
It's either the consistent white noise of a fan, the crying of one of the babies, because yes, we have babies out there, and
They put
or,
babies up in the bunk room.
or my uncles and grandparents and myself now too, snoring. Take your pick.
Yeah. Let's just say by the last day of me being up there, I was up there for 3 days, about 2.5 days. By the last one, I was wiped. As Nick
You
chastised
weren't really
me.
useful.
Nick chastised me at one point on the Saturday or Sunday morning. I was up there for sleeping on the watch, and I was like, "I'm sorry, I have no control over any of this."
So what was the stand situation? I know that. Sorry, if I may. I know that Nick built his own stand. You guys just both in the same stand, just looking down different lanes.
Yeah.
So one thing that's different from Seattle is the UP is cold. It's really cold. And when you're sitting out there in a deer stand, not moving around, and of course, like all I can pack is what I can carry on to a plane. So I'm just like freezing my butt off. We
When?
hunted mainly out of Nick's. Nick's
When were
end,
you cold in my blind?
No, not your blind. I was getting to that. Your blind was nice. The other blind with the heater that was like running real low on gas and definitely was not really insulated. Part of my legs at least were freezing, but that's on me. I should have packed better. But overall, we hunted mainly out of Nick's blind, especially like in the mornings, the 2 we went out, which was
Some Nick hunting,
kind of
Brent
like
watching.
a real Brent sleeping sort of Nick hunting.
There was one point where he started to snore, and the way my blind is set up, I have three shooting paths. Two of them are definitely like alleys, and one of them's like a kind of a open area that you're never going to get a shot out of. You can see deer, but you can't really get a good look at it. But the way we were set up, I sit on one side, and I have a really great view of one path, and he sits on the other side, and he's got a really great view of the other path. And knowing where the deer come from, I can sit here and tell you, here's exactly where you need to look. And I'm paying attention to my spot. And every once in a while, just to be thorough, because it's a limited view. I'm sitting in a different spot. You just kind of, no, not that bad. We're like cross paths. But because the windows are small, you want small windows on a deer blind. Because that way you can move around and the deer can't see you as well. But you have these small windows to look out of the blind, and typically you watch your spot, and then every once in a while, just because you have a different angle from where you're sitting, you kind of lean back and peek at the other guy's spot. But if he's watching his spot at all, you're good. Well, Brent's snoring, and I just like.
All right, if I may,
if you're gonna take a nap,
points on this.
If you're gonna take a nap, fine, but you need to let me know first.
And you need to not be snoring.
Nobody's watching over there.
If I may, I have counterpoints on this. Not a single deer, at least when I was there, walked in from that side. So I felt like my thought process into this was, man, I'm really tired. I'm not going to see a deer anyways, which isn't the right mindset, but that's what I was thinking at the time. And
By
then
the way,
secondly,
all my deer came from that alley this year. They
were
came
all
from
coming
the
from
right.
that back right. They were coming from that back right. Anyway,
Good.
so then my other thought was, it's really foggy in the morning. It's super dark. My night vision's horrible. I can't, I have my glasses on. They're sort of, I don't know. I just couldn't really see. Nick, to get a good view, opens up his gun window, which is fine. You need to be able to get the gun out to point if something comes by, and so you can hear better. But then that pushes the double pane into my view. So it's so foggy, I just can't see out of it anyway. I was like, That was only the last day. I was also super sleep deprived at that point. I was, I think, a pretty decent deer watcher the rest of the time, including when Nick got his doe, which was pretty cool to see him tag it. That was pretty sweet.
Did you help with the gutting?
Yes, he let me do it this year.
Oh, you did the gutting?
I've come up last year too.
Nick, you basically just instructed Brent on the gutting process?
Yeah, my cousin Eric, who's more experienced than I am, and I've gutted maybe 7 deer in my life, ballpark figure. I did 4 last year, but I've gutted a number of times, and I only had to do the one this year. I could have done another one, but my cousin stepped up and did it. But it was Eric and I instructing, and it was he handled it.
Well, it might have been a painful experience for these experienced pros to kind of like, come on, man, like you gotta get in there, you gotta pull. I was just like, I'm down in a t-shirt. It's probably less than 40 degrees, 35 degrees maybe, and I'm just like, I just go into that deer. You reach all the way up to the.
For those who are a little squeamish, we're about to get into a detail here. If you want to like skip ahead 2-3 minutes, Kyle, if you can give like a safe call at some point. I don't know how you want to handle that, but watching him try to figure out how far to reach up, because as part
to grab
of
the throat,
as part of field dressing the deer, after you cut open the pelvis and the stomach, and you work your way up. You have to get through the diaphragm, essentially, of the deer. And you can either, if it's a younger deer, you can just use your fingers and get through it, or you can take your knife and cut it open. And then after that, you're into the chest cavity. And once you're in the chest cavity, you got the lungs, you got the heart, you got all that lovely stuff going up there. You have to reach past all of that, grab the throat, essentially. The trachea,
Yes.
I don't know, get Heather
Throat.
over here to tell us what the terminology is, but you essentially grab the throat from the inside and you just pull and you rip everything out manually, and you pull it out, and with that will come the lungs, the heart, the liver,
Everything.
the stomach, all of it. Once you have that, you pull it all out and you just kind of roll this mass of organs out of the bottom, which you've cut open as far as the pelvis for easy exit. And yeah, we were trying to get Brent to get up there, and he wasn't understanding at first, which is pretty normal. It's not like he wasn't ready for it. He did a great
You don't
job.
stick your arm inside of a deer every day.
You don't stick an arm up inside of something.
Right, but as you're describing it, you're just like, see, Brent, the throat on the deer outside is up here.
Up here.
You're going to put
All the
your
way there.
hand inside of it all the way up. to tell a person that is not a normal thing, for them to actually do that for the first time is strange, I can imagine.
Oh, I would say the other strange moment would be just take the knife and cut through the butthole. Like, I did not expect to hear that at some point.
You have
during
to cut around the butthole, in order to, once you cut open the pelvis for the easy exit of everything, one of the first things you do is you essentially saw or break the pelvis to open up the hips to allow everything to flow out nicely, because you've got all the digestive stuff, and that's a lot of good meat around there. So as part of doing that, you essentially cut around its asshole is the terminology, without trying to be coarse. Arsehole. You cut around that, and then the whole thing comes out, but you have to cut it, otherwise it's just part of the pelt, which is not what you want. So yeah,
deer gutting talk. Great topic.
And the best part too was that I'm cutting through this part, and then there's one of his cousins or someone was like, "Oh yeah, and those are the tenderloins." I'm just like, "Great, that's what we're eating. We're eating like
it's meat.
Tenderloins." Like,
that's why you got to cut around the butt nicely, that way you don't get any of that stuff in your meat.
Well, right, everything around the butthole is good meat. Like that's what you want. You just don't want the butthole to grip on the meat.
That's the biggest muscle.
My biggest regret about that was after, pulling all of it out, Nick's cousin's like, save the heart, and I guess they cook it up or fry it. And
it's still in the fridge.
I want to try it. I really wanted to try it because I just that sounds like it's a muscle. I mean, it just sounded like it'd be a cool thing to try. So what you do for the heart is, if you have a pressure cooker, you put the heart in a pressure cooker and you cook it, and it comes out as a really, for lack of a better word, thick and bland meat. Like, it doesn't have any true flavor to it. It's just like, if I don't know how to describe it other than thick and bland, unflavored. It doesn't taste good. It just doesn't taste bad either. I mean, you could put salt on it or something if you wanted, but you pressure cook it, and then it just becomes a really thick chunk of meat. And if you wanted to eat it, I mean, it's fine. Like, people eat it all the time. It's not a big deal. But that was still sitting in the fridge at the end of season. Nice. They're like, save it. I was like, wow, okay, whatever.
So while these two guys were, if I may, do you guys have anything else you want to hit up on hunting camp quick?
Actually,
I got a couple last thoughts. Brent's
got some thoughts.
First off, thanks to Nick's family, who I'm sure are going to be avid listeners to this podcast, for having me up there. They were just incredibly great hosts, and it was really cool getting to actually meet the people that have turned Nick into whatever they turned him into. That was pretty cool. We played a lot of euchre, which was an awesome game. Took that back home to my family. Love euchre now. Very fun. And then went to a casino for the first time, and I can tell you, I am not a successful gambler. I lost all $1450 $14.50 that I
Wait,
wagered.
$14
so,
or $50? Are you trying to like lie for Heather here?
No, $14.50. I wagered. I
only
went
spent
big.
$14.50.
I'm a big spender, big gambler. I realize that if you're gonna
Big
win
gambler,
something,
man.
you gotta pay
Right
money.
down the toilet.
Right down the toilet. I'm not getting that money back ever, unless I gamble more, and then I'll lose more. So,
Oh yeah, that's what you gotta do. Just gamble
but very
more,
cool
you'll get it.
experience. Very cool experience. No, I really enjoyed it though. It was awesome. 3 days. Good way to start the vacation. What were you up to, Kyle?
I was gonna say, while these guys were out and away, my brothers filled in. I don't know if either of you guys listened to the podcast. How do you think they did?
I did.
Great job.
I did. Because I know that they'll
Nick
listen to
didn't
this.
listen. I know Nick didn't listen.
What did? I've never listened to any of our podcasts.
They stunk.
I was
They stunk.
encouraging.
They're horrible. No, I'm just kidding. Those guys were really entertaining. I actually enjoyed. So I listened to the whole thing. I was flying back a couple of days ago, back to Seattle. I listened to the whole thing. It was cool, especially since I worked at the camp that a lot of the stories were revolving around. So I was like, oh yeah, okay.
So I was thinking
The
about
guy
this.
who
Like,
walked through the blog.
if I may, we could legit have like almost like a camp story section of the podcast. Like I even like started writing down a couple like future stories to tell about the camp. Like
There's enough stuff that happens, especially
every
the
week or
early
so.
ones.
If I may, and in my defense, there are a lot of artists who don't listen to their own songs.
No, I
Sure,
can
I'm
understand. Like,
yeah, I get it. I get
if
it.
I may, I would say I don't hardly ever listen to our podcast either. Like, just because like I'm here, I'm
Just-
currently experiencing it. Like, I was part of the conversation. Like, I don't feel like I need to listen to it again. Like, there's only been a couple I've listened to again because I'm like, oh yeah, I remember that. Like, I want to refresh myself on that story because that was really funny. But yeah, I don't. Yeah, I really typically don't listen to it either.
If I may, I listen to it on occasion, just because I enjoyed our conversations, like to relive it. I think the big benefit for at least us three is going to be a few years down the road where we're all doing our livey things if we don't keep this going, and looking back as a time capsule of like, hey, we had this really crazy part of our life that we all, and this is get some of those stories, and I think
How
that's where the
crazy was
real
it?
like.
We're pretty crazy right now.
Nah, I mean we're pretty crazy. It's like 9:30 and we're talking on a Skype call, or we're recording a podcast at night. Like
So
He
crazy.
said Skype.
so
We
crazy.
use Twitch, sir. If you could get our branding correct, maybe we could get the sponsorship we know we deserve. All right.
Twitch.
We should probably stream it on Twitch while we're podcasting.
I am
Might be good for the
streaming it right
brand potential,
Stream.
but
Yeah,
just
but
record
we
it.
have to edit a lot of things out from time to time.
Yeah, right.
Oh no, it's
Yeah,
being
that's true. That's
streamed.
true.
It's
We've been pretty good.
just live.
I'm glad we haven't had to edit much on video because editing video is a lot harder than editing audio.
Yeah. You're saying it's not like the old days where you just got the big old strip of pictures and you just cut a couple out and
Yeah.
glue
But
them
then you
together.
insert a little penis in there like they do in Fight Club.
Yeah.
That, okay.
Exactly.
It's a great movie.
But yes.
Brent, have you
So
not
I
seen
tried
Fight Club?
editing. I have, but it's been such a long time, and I
Yeah.
didn't watch the whole thing. It was one of those movies where you watch a part of it, and then you don't watch a part of it, and then you get like the last part of it, and you never see the whole thing. You just got the parts of it that you think you know. Like I've seen enough of the movie where I don't feel like I need to go watch the whole movie again, but I've also
You
not
get
seen
it.
the whole movie.
You get it.
Yeah, there's some movies like that.
All right.
Any
So,
movies you guys want to see coming up? Any big movies coming up?
Well, if
I
we're gonna
don't
go
know.
on the full tangent, that was gonna be one of my topics for today.
Tangent on.
Movies in
Wait, what's
general.
a tangent train? Choo choo.
So,
Tangent train.
I still don't have a tangent sound effect. I'll get a
Yeah,
whoosh
we
or
need
something.
we probably need one.
All right.
At any rate, movies.
Wait. If I may, Nick, this is your time to monologue. I'm gonna use the restroom, so just go for it. Let her rip.
Disrespectful.
This
So
is the first
disrespectful, that
time
Brent.
we've ever had a bathroom break
Yeah.
during one of our podcasts.
We
Which reminds me about hunting season, a separate tangent. You thought we were going on this tangent.
yeah, no,
Now we're on this.
We're going a different direction.
We're going a different direction. That way he won't know what the hell we were talking about. At any rate, Tiny Tanks over there could not hold his bladder while we're in the blind. And I hope he listens to this after the fact,
Yeah, when
because
he's
I
not
called
here.
him Tiny Tanks repeatedly. Because, yeah, you're sitting there trying to be stealthy, trying to wait for the deer, between his sleeping and his need to use facilities. It was rough.
Oh, you have to try to.
So my favorite movie of all time is probably going to be something along the lines of like a Shooter or a Bambi. But I really like those movies in
that's
general.
Completely different.
But the newest movies,
A Shooter
What's that?
like Bambi.
Those
Oh
are
my
very
God.
two different directions.
The irony is
of
not
movies.
lost on me. The irony is not lost on me. I like action movies. Shooter was pretty cool. Like it's not a great movie, but it was cool. And Bambi, a classic. I mean, I turned out to be a hunter despite some of the messaging that movie sends. So what does that say about my psychology?
If I may,
At any rate,
one of the Boy Scout camps that Brent and I went to as Boy Scouts, the terrain for that camp was used in it's Tasoma Scout Camp. We just went to it as kids, so it's fine to say it. It's also like not even in our council. So we went to Tasoma Scout Camp, and that camp, the artists from Disney went to that camp to like get the terrain and like sketch out stuff for Bambi, and in return, one of the Disney artists drew their logo. So if you look up Tasoma Scout Camp, in Samoset Council for the Boy Scouts, their logo was drawn by a Disney guy, and a lot of the scenery in that area was used for Bambi. Like that's what the inspiration from the scene, the background scenes of the movie and all that was from. Fun fact.
Very cool.
Another,
So-
if I may, quick, just while we're on the Bambi. When I came in,
That'd be so
I had just rejoined, and I didn't hear the in between part. I heard you say, my favorite movie is Shooter, Bambi. So I thought you were saying that Bambi was like a shooting movie, which I mean it's part of it, the hunting part. But I was
no,
like,
the movie Shooter.
you're missing the
Okay.
part, like you see it.
So if I can jump back on my tangent train,
Attaboy.
um,
Go for it.
Now, the topic I was going to bring up is there are 3 movies right now that I'm waiting to go see, and I want to see the new Harry Potter movie.
Good.
Thank you.
I've heard good things as
and
well.
I want to see
Haven't seen
Wreck-It Ralph 2, and I want to see Robin Hood. And unfortunately,
There's another Robin Hood?
These are 3 movies that Megan has said she is willing and wants to go see. However, Megan has never seen a movie in her life, therefore she needs to watch the first one before she's willing to watch the second one. Otherwise, it's just far too confusing. And I hate being asked questions during movies and shows that I like.
God.
It
If I
drives me bonkers.
If I may, do not take Megan to see the Harry Potter movie, though,
Why?
because the movie does a horrible job of laying out, like, unless you've just seen the first movie and you've been following Harry Potter your entire life, like, they just move at a pace and don't introduce things to a point
She's
where
probably read the books though.
I
right?
enjoyed the movie.
There's no.
I enjoyed the
books for these,
movie because
don't
I had to think about it. I had to think and try and piece everything together.
Yeah, but Megan's
But if
probably
you're
read
not,
the Harry
like-
Potter books.
I know, but it
If I
doesn't
had to
necessarily
guess.
follow, like,
There
you
aren't
get to
books
nerd
for
about
this,
the Harry
though,
Potter
are there?
books.
I know, but
No,
I
there's
think
not.
what Brent's saying is that it references a lot of like the background story stuff in Harry Potter, right, Brent?
Yeah, and there's like other things from the previous movie that if you weren't paying attention, like they
Well,
introduced
and that's
characters
just
and you're
it.
just
Yeah,
like,
I
I have
have
no
to-
clue.
I have to watch the first movie with her, and I
There'll be lots
will.
of questions.
But she's not. She doesn't watch movies as attentively as I do. Like, yeah, I pick up details, and I'm like, "Oh, that was the thing from the moment." Yeah,
Mhm,
and
mhm.
she's just
You'll
like,
do that a lot.
What is it? And I'm like, she's brilliant in so many ways, and I love her obviously, but
You love her so much, you should just marry her.
God. I'm going to.
Oh,
actually.
okay.
At any rate, there are those 3 movies coming out that I want to see. So maybe I'll only because 3 movies is a lot for her. I might just take her to Wreck-It Ralph 2 if she sees Wreck-It Ralph 1.
keep
That'd be a good
start
one.
there.
That'd be a
That's
good
a
one.
lower level. Well, it references the Disney princesses, which she loves Disney stuff, or at least knows Disney stuff. So that'll be an easier reference. So we can do that one. And then Robin Hood has gotten horrible reviews, but it's the guy from Kingsman. So I want to. I mean, even if it's him just blowing crap up with Jamie Foxx in the background, being like, "Yeah." I mean, I still pay money to go watch it in theater because it's going to be cool, even if the story sucks. So
My parents went and watched it, and they had positive reviews about it. They
Really?
enjoyed it. So I think
'Cause
you'll,
I've heard
you'll
good
like
things
it.
about Wreck-It Ralph 2 and the new Harry Potter as well.
good. I need a good movie. In my
I haven't
life.
even
I haven't
heard
watched
of
one
Robin
in a
Hood.
couple months. But
I almost-
those 3 movies are coming out. I'm excited about that. And my topic for all of us to discuss very briefly, if you're so inclined, is and maybe this would be a good finishing note. You guys can let me know. We can share it. But my thought was going to be When you go to a movie, what is your favorite snack? What is your go-to snack? And or I guess favorite movie snack of all time versus what's your go-to, because you don't always get your favorite of all time.
Mm-hmm.
And what is one snack you hate, whether it's you eat it or other people eat it or whatever it may be. Now, do we want to save that for a closing segment, or do we want to?
I think
I like it. I like it.
I like it.
Where do you go?
For me, I'm gonna go completely against the grain. Okay, so my favorite snack would just be like the bag of the overpriced M&Ms. I'm gonna get that, and I'm gonna share a soda with Juliana or whatever. Like I'll share a Pepsi or Coke or whatever. I'm not terribly picky on soda. I definitely prefer Pepsi or Coke, but I don't care too much. If the person I'm with really wants a different soda, I'm cool with just sharing whatever, pretty much, except for Dr. Pepper. That's like the only soda I cannot stand.
Oh, I love Dr. Pepper.
As far as not liking, I am not a fan of popcorn. I know it's like a movie sin, probably, but like actually, caramel corn and like the cheese corn, not bad. I can have a couple, like a handful of that. I'm good, but like just straight up popcorn, I'm not a fan.
All
right. So probably my favorite. I like the popcorn. And it's just the classic. That's what you get when you go to a movie. But a thing that I've done in the last few years and have actually really started to enjoy is a lot of movie theaters will sell ices, blue raspberry ices, and it's just such an upgrade over the soda experience that I've really started to enjoy having an icy with my movie. I will say I'm not a big fan, maybe Milk Duds, but otherwise I'm not a really big fan of candy in movies. Maybe because it's so sweet, you eat it right away and it just stays in your mouth, but I prefer like the salty to a lot of the sweet. If for me watching a movie.
Yeah. As for myself, my go-to is just a popcorn and a soda. Usually
so you have this topic and then you're going with popcorn and soda.
I mean, that's kind of what I went with.
It's hold on. The reason I brought it up was my favorite one. I'll get there in a minute. I'm not there on the tracks, okay? It's a tangent. At any rate, one foot in front of the other. My go-to, what I usually get, and there was a deal at a theater back in Northeast Minneapolis where I previously lived with a theater. It was a smaller theater, kind of didn't get a whole lot of attendance. I'd walk in, and there was a point where, Megan and I went to a premiere movie like a week after it came out. And we were the only people in the theater. Like, it doesn't have a lot of business. Like, it might go out of business shortly. But for the release of, I think, whatever the last Avengers movie was or something like that, whatever the last big one that came out was, every theater was packed, of course, in the weekend. So they do get good business. But if they're not showing a premiere film, nobody goes to this theater. But they had a popcorn promotion where you bought a bucket and you would fill your bucket for super cheap. So of course I did that, and I would always fill my bucket, and then I would have usually a soda as well, which worked out really, really well. So that was just real uneventful popcorn and soda. Little butter, not a lot. It always drove me absolutely bonkers when I'm going to say bonkers like 6 times because I like that word today.
Love
bonkers
it.
Just makes me
word
smile.
of the day.
But it drove me bonkers when my mother would. My mother was a butteraholic, so she would sit in the line, and doesn't matter if there were 35 people behind her, she'd just be like, "Oh, I need a little more butter." Like, no, like more butter. Like, guy goes, butters it up, comes back. No, just like one more turn. Okay. And I'm exaggerating.
A little bit more.
I'm exaggerating.
And a little more.
But it felt like
a little more.
I'm a kid at the time, and I'm like, let's go to the movie.
Have you guys seen those? Sorry,
my mother's always.
I've seen a couple. There's a couple of YouTube videos where people like go to Subway or like those kind of self-serve or like have the person serve them. Like, can I get a little lettuce? A little more lettuce, and just see how far they can push it.
That would be hilarious. Until you literally have the entire thing of lettuce just on you.
A little more lettuce.
Oh, I go to Qdoba and my burrito's already like.
Oh my god, the Qdoba burritos, you can get them to go real big on those things.
The amount of times that they've had to double wrap the burrito because there's too many toppings.
That's the worst though, because
then
you have too much breading. It's double wrap the burrito's no good.
All right, this is me reeling it back in. This is me reeling it back in. At
It's
any rate,
raining.
the source of that brief tangent was my mother always has a ton of butter. I'm exaggerating, and I love her. But at any rate, I let
Nick
just
likes a little bit of butter. Got it.
Just a little bit, like too much. Otherwise, it's no good. As for my favorite snack, same thing, popcorn, no butter.
What? Popcorn? What?
Listen to me.
Brent,
Listen
Nick's-
up. Listen up.
wait.
If I
We're
may,
about to
Nick's
go off
idea
the
for
rails. We're about to go off the rails.
He's putting M&Ms in here.
I'm putting crunch, the chocolate crunch candy, the little mini crunch things. Sprinkle a box or two of those over the popcorn, and then shake it up. And the heat from the popcorn will coat your popcorn in chocolate, and then you've got essentially a super salty popcorn snack covered with super rich like Nestle chocolate, and then you also have those little crunchy bits as kind of a mix-up. That is my favorite. It is an absolute mess, though. Like, you can't actually eat it while watching a movie, which is super sad. But it is so good. And then what else did I have? We had the normal snack. And then what do I hate about snacks? I'd say if someone, whatever the snack is, if it has a wrapper and someone's inconsiderate, or like it's a super quiet part of the movie and they're just like, shake, 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 shake. I'm an idiot.
Well, it's like when people in like class, like when I was in like school, where they like try to be opening something. It's like, dude, just go for it and get it over with.
Yeah,
like
just make the noise. We all know you're doing it.
It's like, dude, just open it and be done with it.
Oh, apples. Or you're eating an apple. It's a quiet class, 8 o'clock in the morning.
Food out of this theater right now.
Yeah, it should be illegal.
All right, so that was my movies tangent. I'm looking forward to seeing those 3, but I have to see which ones Megan's going to go with. Good advice, although I think she'll actually want to see the Harry Potter one. I'll just have to make sure I
clarify at the end.
Very clearly review number 1.
Oh yeah, because there's a lot that happens. I was thinking about it. I knew it was a good film, in that like they left a lot that you had to really work through, which makes is usually. I was still thinking about the next day, which I was like, I'm actually happy to think about this again. So if it's in my mind the day after, it must be decent.
Yes,
that was my thought.
I like a good thinker. Like, I want to be able to figure it out, but like I feel like the more Harry Potter knowledge you have, the more you should be able to put it together. I've read a bunch of articles about the movie and about the plot and how Dumbledore is essentially, it's been released that he's gay and he's in love with, he's essentially in love with Grindelwald.
Let me know when we're
God,
done with
watch
this
the first movie
conversation.
again.
I haven't seen the movie. It doesn't have a whole lot to do with that.
I haven't been saying anything about the plot. The plot could be improved on, but it's entertaining.
I thought the first one lacked plot. Like, the whole thing with Clarence or Clayton's or whatever the heck his name was.
Oh, yeah.
That whole plot line was horrible for the first movie, I thought. But it was an introduction into that time period and the characters in question for the deeper story, which is my understanding of what this movie's about. Am I right?
Yep. I won't go into it, but expect more Clarence.
It's the other movie.
Really?
If I may, the other movie that I know is coming out or came out is The Grinch. Apparently, it's actually halfway decent. I don't think we needed another Grinch, but apparently it's okay. It's got the guy that played Sherlock and Doctor Strange, Benedict Cumberbatch or whatever. And
Nice.
they're like, oh,
It's
you can do a
animated
British
though,
accent
right?
if you want. And apparently he was like, nope, Grinch is not. I don't picture him as British. I'm not doing a British accent. So it's like, okay. Apparently it's halfway decent, and it's Christmassy time. So I mean, they always got that going for them.
Jim Carrey forever.
If I may, the complaint I've been hearing, so I go see the Grinch, do I not see the Grinch? A lot of the complaints I've been hearing is that the Grinch is like too nice about it. And if you think about the original Grinches, it's supposed to be like a
soft Grinch. A soft Grinch.
He's supposedly soft. He's not supposed to be soft.
I want a soft
I don't know
Grinch.
if his heart needs
I
to
want
grow.
his heart 3 sizes too small.
It might not be. I feel like his heart is like only 2 sizes.
The children in America who get participation trophies just aren't ready for a harsh Grinch. They need him to be ready to change. They need the love up front.
The new Pokemon game on the Switch, your rival is like your buddy. I named him Brent,
He's
and
not
he
a
was my friend.
rival. That was like that other one too.
He's like your
Pokemon
buddy.
X.
He's like, oh, we should test our strength together right now. Like he's your buddy right now. He's your buddy through the whole game. He's a soft rival.
They've been doing that recently. Oh, it's horrible. The second one had that same thing or like Pokemon X and Y. That was the last one I've played.
Yeah, they're like a group of friends or whatever.
It's like a group of buddies. I don't want to hang out with a group of buddies. I want someone that is going to force me to
be the
become
very best
Pokemon trainer. I want a bar that is set so high that I have to fight to beat him. And every time he beats me or every time he sees me,
I take it personally.
Fight to the death. Yeah. I want to hate the guy. I don't want to be buddies with him. Hey, let's go hang out. No, we're rivals.
We're rivals. Yeah, you're like working together and even like fight Team Rocket together at one point. Or so far anyway. I was like, whoa, you don't be fighting with your rival. Like, no.
No, I'm not.
Right.
Would Gary ever try to fight against Team Rocket in the original Pokemon series? No, he didn't care about that stuff. He cared about beating
Maybe he did at one point. I don't really recall.
I don't remember. I don't think he did. I'm just saying Gary is the kind of guy that was going to try and rub your face and how much better he was. Not somebody who's going to buddy up with you in tag team battle.
Yeah, I'd never do a podcast with somebody I just wanted to steal all their resources from in Age of Empires.
Oh, you do that. You're not my rival, though, Nick. To be a rival, you have to be on the same level.
Yeah. Hey,
I'm going to say you're ahead of me in this case.
I'm in first place. What can I say?
Brent,
yeah.
there was a time period where Nick, Brent, and I were all playing Age of Empires. Like we were just into the game for probably a month and a half. And Nick had played a lot of it previously. Like I'd played a decent amount, but always like single player, like never legit. And then Nick's apparently played RTSs in general a lot more. Like Nick is like pretty damn good at StarCraft 2 in comparison to the average, person that's never played, which is Brent and myself. So when we got to Age of Empires, like Nick would carry. I would be really good supplemental, or at least like hold something off long enough for Nick to be able to do his thing. And then Brent, he tried. Brent tried.
I'd be extra bases. That people could go grab.
Brent would have a few dunce cap moments, and I wouldn't have patience for him to work everything out. So I just send all my workers who had already cleared every resource on all of my land into Brent's land, because it's like, well, this resource is not going to mine itself. This needs to happen. And he's like, wait, no, that was going to be mine. And I'm like, it was going to be yours in another 30 years by the time you're two workers.
They're on their way sometimes. The workers were moving over there.
Well, that would we switch to civilization.
I had an armada.
Now we switch to civilization. We're currently on Civ 5. Civ 6 just came out. I'll have to look at reviews, see if that's any halfway decent or not.
I don't want to pay full price for it, but
yeah, right. Wait till Civ 6 goes on sale.
So if I may, this is gone. This Nick taking my resources has gone back since we were kids. A lot of times I think
chocolate milk too.
I come over to his house and we play video games. Playing video games with Nick would be Nick's playing video games, and I got to watch a lot. So I got to see a lot of really cool games like StarCraft and Age of Mythology. But when you only have one controller, like somebody's gotta watch. And I don't remember Nick sharing too much.
I was not a good sharer as a kid.
I feel like I wasn't the best sharer as a kid, but I feel like I was better than Nick at least. Maybe Brent, maybe you can.
That's
be a
not
judge.
saying much.
I would think so.
Dude, better than me at sharing is not saying.
It's going to be reversed on camera for the viewers, but I need.
No, it's on. It's good.
I had my cup and I was like, oh, I need something to put it on. Hashtag Colorado Rockies, who did okay this year. But yeah, I was like, okay. I need a coaster, so I made myself a NASA one, and it's awesome.
Wait, Kyle.
Nice.
With the NASA touchdown, can we do our own historic moment? Can you bring that Rockies cup onto the coaster and get the camera on this?
The Mars lander or whatever.
It just touched down.
Anyhow, that was
amazing.
I don't know.
What am I watching?
That's why you gotta watch our YouTube.
It seemed like a good idea until I started doing it, and I'm like, this is a really stupid thing to do.
I was flabbergasted.
But yeah, now we're going into Mars. So if there was we've looked at all the surface of Mars, no aliens there. We're going into Mars now. We'll see what's in Mars.
Is it like how Hitler is in the middle of the Earth right now with his like imps or whatever?
No, the Earth is flat.
Oh, that's right. That's right. And hollow though. It's
Yeah.
supposedly hollow. That's what
Uh,
Elon Musk was saying.
yeah.
Flat
What?
and hollow. But
Elon
I
Musk
feel
was not
like
saying it
we're
was
looking for
hollow.
some colony under.
I'm losing
No,
brain cells.
on
I
his
don't know
Twitter.
why.
No, on his Twitter, he had a
It's a
poll. He's like,
joke.
is the Earth flat? Is it hollow? Or is it flat and hollow? Those are the options.
What?
I don't know. He's been going crazy recently. He's gonna basically be on Mars in like the next 10
One
years.
puff of weed and now the Earth is hollow.
And flat. Or is it both? Who knows? I don't know.
So with
right.
Christmas time coming up, obviously holidays. That's why we missed a little bit last or 2 weeks ago or whatever.
And
But
so this is Christmas.
when is number one decoration
Where
slash
have you
Christmas
been?
songs allowed? What's the earliest they're allowed? And what's the latest they can stay?
Let's hope it's a good one.
Black Friday. So this is my biggest pet peeve. My family every year tries to make Christmas before Thanksgiving. Like, oh, let's watch White Christmas on Thanksgiving. No, it's a holiday.
No, the day after
Respect
Thanksgiving,
the turkey.
fair game.
As soon as Friday hit, we went to the mall to hang out for a little bit and do some shopping. That was Christmas music was blaring because I was ready to celebrate Christmas. Thanksgiving's over, but until Black Friday, there should be no thoughts of Christmas.
No Christmas until Black
Actually
Friday.
Not how it works, by the way.
That's 100% how it works.
That's 100% how it
The
should work.
companies know that customers spend more money if Christmas music is being played. Well before Thanksgiving.
I don't want your logic,
I went to
Nick.
Walmart.
I don't want your logic. I want Christmas on
What do
Black
you
Friday.
feel, Nick? What's in that heart of yours?
Well, I can tell you for first things first, it's 3 sizes too small. And
It's made of green
Pop
paper.
humbug.
and I am not a nice Grinch.
But yeah, so last year, Juliana was terrible. It was like a whole week before Thanksgiving. She was decorating already. I'm like, no,
She
no.
was awesome.
Not okay. So like,
What are we missing?
I don't. Brent's running off again. Oh, okay. We
Tiny
have to call him.
tanks.
What'd you call
Tiny
him?
tanks.
What'd you call him before?
Tiny tanks.
Tiny tanks. We got to try to sneak that in before the end of the podcast without him noticing.
Okay.
Okay, all right, that's our goal.
Do you want to do it or should I? I think you should do it because
Okay.
he heard me say it like 14 times. So
Okay,
hunting
I'll
season.
bust in tiny tanks somewhere before the end. I'll call him tiny tanks and just see what happens.
Tiny tanks. Anything to say on the
Anything
subject?
to say, tiny tanks?
Brent, we
Anyhow.
love you if you listen to this later because
right.
we know you will.
For the Christmas though, Juliana went a lot better this year. She was decorating on Thanksgiving morning, which to be fair, we had the
Okay.
day off. She had nothing else to do, so.
And are you guys doing a tree this year?
We have a fake tree. We're not allowed to have a real tree inside
Right.
of our apartment. So we have a fake tree, and so we decorated with our ornaments. My parents gave us our big box of ornaments. So we put all the ornaments on, but we didn't have a topper. So initially I tried to put a Packer bear on the top, but it got taken down because Juliana's she's a Bears fan. But I ended up just
Packer
3D
bear,
printing
They are on
a
the
star.
top of the NFC right now.
I just 3D printed a star for the tree. So we put that up there. I'll go get it. I'll walk off now.
NFC North.
Tiny tanks,
Jeez.
guys.
That should have been. Well, now we can talk about Packers. Kyle's gone. Man, they lost the Vikings. Thankfully, I was on the plane. I didn't see whatever that travesty was. Nick, how was it being in Minnesota while our beloved Packers were getting their butts handed to them?
It was an unfortunate affair for a number of reasons. I ended up going over to a friend's house who doesn't have cable and watching the game there. And it's always great to see people. It's always good. Oh, Star's back.
That looks good, Kyle.
Right?
For
So
a
it's like,
3D print this summer.
I 3D printed it. I actually did this at a pretty high resolution too, so it's like. pretty
Kyle,
detailed.
why was that not a video? That could have been a.
Yeah, that would have been a good video. I didn't design this
That
though.
would've
I
been
just
awesome.
found it online. But
not
yeah,
the same,
so
though.
like I was like, Juliana, is your family an angel family or a star family? She's like, my family's always been an angel family. Well, my family's always been an angel family too. Let's make a star. So yeah, because her family and my family are both angel families, we're gonna go star. Just I don't know what the difference is. If
Rebellion
they're actually
at
meeting.
its finest.
I'm hopping back on my tangent if I can. Beautiful
Yep.
star.
Wait, are
But,
you guys star or angel peoples?
Stars. 100%.
You've always
I
been
hope they
stars.
see
Angels appeared. You follow the in the Bible, you follow the star. The wise men follow the star. They didn't follow angels. The angels appeared, but you follow the star. So star all the way.
My policy is I hope they serve beer in hell. At any rate,
are you Star or Angel? Nick, Star or Angel?
I hope they serve beer in hell.
He doesn't either.
You don't do a tree.
His heart is 3 times.
I'm telling you, I hope they serve beer in hell. That's all I've got. Tree? No, I don't care. I'd probably do a star. A star is less work than an angel. An angel needs to be super intricate and delicate. And as far as balancing it, tell me that an angel balances more easily than a star that's just
the one that my parents
straight
had
up and down.
When I was a kid, or they still have it. It's like the skirt is primarily cardboard, so it's actually super light. So and then it has like a thing you can like it has like a pokey inside of it. So he's like cut off the top of the tree and literally like stab it into the top. So it's really easy actually.
Okay. But at any rate, we had just gotten onto the Green Bay Packers and their horrible.
Why do we even want to talk about this?
Because Nick was watching it in Minnesota while it happened.
I was watching it in Minnesota. I'll make it a very quick, short tangent. Watched it at a friend's house who has internet and not cable, and tried to stream it. Watched the game there. Was a little bit regrettable. Luckily, I wasn't missing a whole heck of a lot. Great to see everybody. Great to hang out. We have a bit of a tradition with Sauna Sunday, which is kind of cool. Everyone gets together at a friend's house who has a sauna in their basement, and it usually doesn't conflict with Packer games, but they wanted to host it during the Packer game, so we obliged, and we caught the first half of the game there to the extent that we could, and then we came home. I don't even think I turned the TV back on for the second half. I cannot wait for Mike McCarthy to be gone. I want some sort of hope, and the irony is not lost on me that he had a quote regarding Dom Capers, basically stating, I prefer the devil I know rather than the devil I don't. Well, if the devil you know is not getting you anywhere, maybe try something different.
Is that applicable to Mike McCarthy at this point too? Maybe
yes.
He is the devil we know.
Yes.
And
yes, that's why I said the irony is not lost on me.
Yeah, he's gone after if he's not gone during the season, which they might keep him for the remainder of the season just because they're already halfway through.
Work out the contract.
It's hard to drop somebody.
If the guy you're going to hire is with the Patriots or with someone else, then
you get the Browners guy.
Hugh Jackson forever.
I really hope we don't get him. That guy is.
Did
terrible.
anyone see the clip? Did anyone see the clip of Demarius Randall, former Packer, who now plays for the Browns? He intercepts against the Bengals, and Hugh Jackson now is now coaching the Bengals. He catches the ball, runs it over, and gives it to his old coach as thanks for leaving, buddy.
Well, he got fired.
He got
fired. Not like he left. He got fired.
People hated him, I guess. He was.
Well, it's if you get fired and you get offered another job, you're going to take that other job.
You got to take it.
You got a job.
Yeah.
You want to.
Aren't the Bengals on a backup quarterback? Didn't Dalton go down or something?
Probably.
I don't think Dalton was playing. I think Dalton got hurt. Okay, if sports or football or Packers are not someone's subject, let's move on and stay off that because that can be like a season wrap-up tangent.
Oh, easily.
Yeah, there we go. We'll do a playoffs beforehand thing, and then the other thing about sports, real quick, is the Blackhawks are just sucking so bad right now.
Well, hockey, eh? You want to talk about some hockey?
We can throw a little hockey talk, eh?
I can't tell. I don't know. I haven't
Wild's
been
doing
following
good. Blackhawks are sucking.
Wild's
Done
great.
with hockey talk.
Okay. So here's my proposal for football. Until McCarthy's fired, which we hope will be soon, we will not talk Packers on this podcast.
Or if the Packers make playoffs.
Or if they make playoffs.
So when McCarthy
if they make playoffs, wow. That is a long shot. Doable because it's Aaron Rodgers, but unless they make the NFC Championship, McCarthy's still gone.
If we don't make the playoffs and we don't find McCarthy, there's no reason to talk about the Packers for quite a while. That's my philosophy. I'll still tweet about them, though, because
that's my prerogative.
They're fun.
Right.
So, Kyle, what do you do when you don't go home for Thanksgiving? So I was able to spend it with my family and Heather's family. It was phenomenal. But you're in Colorado. What do you do? What is life like?
One of Juliana's coworkers invited us over to their family Thanksgiving. So big thank you to them. That was very nice of them. And just kind of hung out with them. Had their meal. They had the food was awesome, but they put mushrooms in everything, in the gravy, in the stuffing. There's mushrooms in everything. I was like,
There's
guys
only
dig
one
mushrooms,
thing that
apparently.
works well for, if I may, and that's onions.
What?
Yes. You can put onions in anything. but you
Onions
cannot
can
put
go in
mushrooms
anything.
Yeah, but
Mushrooms
it was like
can, but
They
onions.
shouldn't.
like mushrooms. Like if it's a small mushroom or something in something, I'll just eat it. But like these were big, like homemade like sliced mushrooms. And I was like, yeah. So I picked out a lot of the mushrooms, but it was good. Like food is awesome. Just mushrooms and everything that I picked around the mushrooms a little bit, but otherwise it was delicious.
So
But
you
yeah,
didn't
so
like
big shout out to
take the
them. And
mushrooms
then
out
I know
and hide them around the plate?
Juliana's coworker was like, "Thank you, like you stopped my family from potentially yelling at each other." Because whenever you have a guest, it's just a natural deterrent from anybody. That's just in general with all families. Like you're not going to bring up any sort of family issue when you have guests over. Unless you're really dysfunctional.
So in other news, your Giuliano's coworker's family is not really dysfunctional.
No, they're
That's
not
good.
truly dysfunctional.
They're just dysfunctional.
No, they seem pretty
That's
nice.
all right.
Her
Shit, yeah.
grandpa, her Juliana's coworker's grandpa was really funny. He was a funny guy. Apparently,
That's
at
how I
one
feel
point, he
about
got his shin kicked by a horse and like fracture and compound fracture and fun. So it's like, oh god, that would suck. Like half of them in that family, they're big into horses, and like 3/4 of them have been majorly hurt by horses. It's like, yeah, they're big animals. They're no joke. Anyhow,
Yeah.
we good for a closing
Having a
segment?
hobby.
Or does anybody else want to touch on anything else quick?
It's time.
It's time.
Let's do it.
I think you should know that he definitely didn't catch what you were throwing down there with the horses and how you're secretly a Broncos fan and all these other hidden meanings of things.
Oh,
He definitely didn't catch on.
I
So
hate the
Tiny Tanks didn't
Broncos.
catch on to that.
Oh my gosh! I hope that doesn't. It's going to. So at deer camp this year, the year before, I probably every 10 minutes it felt like I had to get out of the blind.
Oh no, Brent, we already
which is
talked
not
about
good
this.
when you're trying to hunt. Or did you? Okay, Nick, tell the story. This year I had a better strategy. I think went less than Nick did, which was a thing. I just didn't drink anything, like the whole time, until we were done hunting, and then I was like, "We're out of blind. Now I can start to hydrate again." But today was extra bad. I don't know. That was
Okay,
weird.
for a closing segment, what are some seasonal foods that would just never be eaten otherwise? 2 examples I can think of off the top of my head is like eggnog. Like you're not. I don't even like eggnog. I don't drink it, but that's one thing that like people never have if it's not Christmas time. The other one is like candy corn. Like unless it's Halloween, you're not eating candy corn. What's other seasonal foods that like you only eat during that season? You'd never really eat them any other time.
fruitcake.
Yep, that's a good one.
And then it's more than one season.
Yep,
But I'm gonna throw it out there.
I'm just because it's
gonna
holiday
throw it out
time
there.
or whatever.
Peeps. If it's not a holiday,
Yeah.
you do not
Yeah.
eat peeps.
I do like me
Peeps
some
is all
peeps.
up for Easter, for Christmas, for even maybe Halloween. I don't know if I've seen that, but it's a
I'm sure
purely
they have some pumpkin
holiday
peeps.
food.
Peeps.
That's a 3-quote peeps holiday.
All right, I got one. Canned cranberries. Like,
My family
I don't know if
said-
your family does it, but like my family does cranberries. Where we get the can of cranberries and we just literally scoop it out and put it on its own little plate, and that's part of it. I've
family
never
does
seen
that all year round.
cranberries ever eaten. I've never seen otherwise, but
a little,
it's good.
little off, but summer shandies.
good.
I feel like they need to just serve
Oh, I
them
have
more.
summer shandies all the
I
time.
love summer shandies. They just
I
need to serve them
love
more.
those.
They only serve them primarily during summer. I don't understand. Like I drink them all the time if they were available all the time.
I think you and I when we lived together tried to like stockpile a bunch of them.
We had a lot of
at the
summer
end of the
shandies. We had-
year.
So when I brought over the spotted cow, so leaving Wisconsin, I was like, there's no chance for spotted cow and New Glarus, because New Glarus beer, for those who don't know what that is, it's a beer that's made in Wisconsin and it's only sold in Wisconsin. You literally cannot buy it outside of Wisconsin, or at least it's very difficult. Like you have literally black market outside of Wisconsin in order to buy this stuff. So like when I was leaving Wisconsin, I'm like, we need some spotted cow and New Glarus beer to bring with us because we're not going to have it. So I was like, I'll buy 6 cases. So I got 3 cases of like the variety packs and 3 cases of like the huge cases from Sam's Club, like the biggest cases you can get. So it was like, Juliana doesn't listen to the podcast, but it was like a $120 bill for all this beer. Because I'm like, we are not going to Colorado without having all this beer. So yeah, we threw that all in the back of my car behind the tow truck, or not the tow truck, the moving van, and had all this beer. We like used a third of it on I brought a third of it into work, and my coworkers made it evaporate as like a hi, I'm Kyle, and everybody's like, oh, you're the best. And then we also brought like a third of it to Juliana had a co-worker mingling party thing at the beginning of their school year, and I mean that evaporated very quickly. And then the rest of it has evaporated as soon as we get any sort of guest over. It's like, oh yeah, you got to take a Spotted Cow, like you got to take a Wisconsin beer because we can. I've tipped some people, like our maintenance guy came in, like fixed our heat. I gave them a new Glarus as a thank you. It's like, yeah, that's a good tip. A beer. Yeah, I'm like, I'm not sure if you're allowed to take this, but here you go. And all of them have been like, hell yeah. So
my favorite beer is
the
Mike's.
sour shit.
So the ones that do no it's my favorite beer I can have all the time. My truly favorite beverage of all time. Mike's used to do like 4 years back a shanty. So it's kind of like a summer shanty, but it was Mike's, so it's a lot sweeter. And shanty or shandy, not shanty. Shanty is a sea song. That's hard to say. Shandy, a summer shanty. And 3 years back, maybe 4 years back, I found the last case I've ever seen of this up in Houghton, Michigan at this random gas station. I bought it out. I bought as much as I could. And I only drink it for very, very, very special occasions.
Beer does go bad over time.
I'm going to drink it anyway. I have 2 left. The last one I drank was a year and a half ago, I think, when I graduated. It's going to be fine.
Gross.
No,
says the guy who drinks sour beer.
Yeah, it just gets more sour. It never gets bad. It just
Brent's
gets
a sour beer guy, and I don't understand it.
Oh, but I wish they'd come back with it. They make stuff like watermelon and cranberry raspberry. It's like, Mike's, you made the best thing in the world already. Just produce that. Just produce Mike's Shanty.
Okay, so that was our closing note. I'll wrap up here in just a second, but I did post a video for both of you, or 2 videos actually for both of you to watch. For any listeners who are curious, go to YouTube and search Busch Latte versus Spotted Cow. I drink Busch Light just because that's what my family drinks at hunting season, especially. That's what we drink. But it's a hick beer. Like it's super light. I mean, Busch Light, Bud Light, Miller Light, yeah, there are slightly different tastes. But if you get an opportunity, go to YouTube, search Busch Light or Busch Latte, BUSCHLATTE versus Spotted Cow, and it's this dude wearing a hat who talks about Busch Latte versus other beers. It's worth a giggle. It's not got a lot of views, I don't think, unless it's started to go viral, which it might, because it's just
it's going to now.
It's that stupid, and it might now with all of our
listeners. If I may.
All right, so if I may, with that was episode 27 of If I May. Hope you all enjoyed. This was Kyle, Nick, and Tiny Tanks. We'll be bringing you a new episode every Thursday. So if you feel if you want to support us, please feel free to subscribe, share, rate, review, and tweet Tiny Tanks on Twitter. If you want to get in contact with us, DM us on Twitter at Zarabust. We also have a Gmail, zarabust@gmail.com, if you're more of an email guy, and you can email Tiny Tanks. Have a great Thursday, everybody. Tiny Tanks,
I want fan mail
sign us off.
Tiny Tanks out.
Have a good Thursday.